Alright friends, it's T and I'm back with another video on our good friend, the lifting slave man. Ya Bomba Klotman, JasonBlaha Strength and Rastaman Fitness. Science is starting to show that the strength of a muscle is entirely due to its muscle fiber size. No, really? No kidding, man. He must be watching my videos, man. I'm telling you.
Hey everybody, it's JasonBlaha here, and today I thought I would chat with you guys a little bit about, what the emerging science is saying. I just got
He thought he would chat with you a little bit? Oh, okay.
done sitting down, reading through a bunch of meta-analysis on this of what the researchers are finding when they're really scanning.
He's been reading through a bunch of meta-analyses. Oh, interesting. I didn't know he could read, man. You mean Blaha could actually read? Oh, cool.
Human bodies, and they are comparing different metrics, where they're literally taking competitive bodybuilders and then say competitive weightlifters, and
Oh, they're taking competitive bodybuilders and competitive weightlifters. What about powerlifters? Them too, yeah?
doing Dexa scans. They're also doing stuff where they're able to scan certain things with proteins. And
I love that. Dexa scans. They can't distinguish between fluid and muscle. They see it all as one. That's why you need a much more expensive thing like a CAT scan of some sort or an MRI.
Inside the body separately, and the evidence is just showing more and more and more that almost all strength, I mean, it's debated as to what percentage, but it's definitely above 90% at this point. 90% or more really does seem to be entirely a matter of muscle protein, right? Accruing more muscle protein. And I think the reasons we see a little bit of disparity here, right? The reasons we're seeing some of the disparity is because, again, the bodybuilding world, you're seeing some of the...
I will agree. The muscle proteins, you definitely need muscle proteins.
Saropplasmic growth. And that seems to...
Oh, what did he say here? Hold on a second.
Brewing more muscle protein. And I think the reasons we see a little bit of disparity here, right? The reasons we're seeing some of the disparity is because, again, the bodybuilding world, you're seeing some of the sarcoplasmic growth. And that seems to be...
The sarcoplasmic growth. You notice that bodybuilders are bigger than powerlifters? Well, because I tried to explain this before. It's sarcoplasmic growth. They chase the pump. They're chasing sarcoplasmic growth, which doesn't give you strength. It doesn't make you stronger. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy does not make you stronger. It's a type of artificial muscle growth. That's why people complain and say, well, these bodybuilders are so big, but they're not stronger than powerlifters. Why would they be stronger if they're not carrying they're not building real muscle? You have to build real muscle to be stronger, bro. You understand me?
The biggest difference, the absolute biggest difference does seem to be the fact that...
You know he's watching my videos at this point.
The appearance of lean muscle tissue and actual contractile protein growth can be complicated a bit by certain things people use, certain training styles to where...
No, it is complicated to get muscle growth. It definitely is, and there are different training styles. But he's not doing any of these. That's his problem.
Both storage factors like storing extra glycogen in the muscles doesn't direct...
Storing glycogen just enhances your performance. It doesn't make you stronger.
...contribute to strength, the ability to produce force. Okay?
It absolutely does not attribute to produce force, storing glycogen. You can look it up in Google. I've done it in other videos. It tells you it doesn't equate to muscle strength whatsoever.
We also noticed that sarcoplasmic growth doesn't matter. Now, muscle fiber composition isn't...
It does matter because it gives you size. That's what people are chasing. The problem is your muscles have reached an MND size limit, a myonuclear domain limit. where that progenitor is beyond where it could donate any extra nuclei to support further muscle growth. So it takes on a life of its own because you're a chronic lifter now coming into the gym. They call that sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. It's based on glycogen loading. So for every gram of glycogen, 3 grams of water are drawn between the skin and the muscle into the muscle, creating these phony muscles. So the more of this I would say complex is much better. The more carbs you take in, the more you'll draw in this glycogen. You'll get bigger muscles, phony, fake muscles.
As important as people think, okay, and it's really not. And that's because the longer we train, the more and more that our faster twitch fibers are the ones that grow. In other words,
the more you train, the more your fast twitch muscle fibers grow. They're not growing because they hit an MND size limit. So you could train them as much as you want in an adapted state.
A lot of your more intermediate endurance fibers, they don't grow that much the longer we train. Okay, they seem to have a larger size cap, but
they do have a size cap. It's called MND size limit. What part does this guy not understand in my videos, man? I even produced the information. What the fuck?
Contribute to your strength. In other words, even the muscle fibers that you use to walk in your legs still contribute.
No. He's chasing an adaptation in myocytic androgen receptors because they control the strength. But again, they don't control the mass. That's why when people are like, I take steroids, it's binding to the androgen receptor, giving me this force production, blah, 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 making me super strong and all that. They should also make me big. They don't make you big, man. They draw in glycogen into the muscle, the testosterone. That's what they do. They themselves do not build muscles. Something has to happen, I would say astronomically devastating to the muscle in order for it to actually build, astronomically something bad has to happen to the muscle, and then, man, there has to be other things that you need to do to get that muscle to actually build up. It's really complicated. The training is very difficult, and the majority of people won't do it.
They contribute to your back.
I would say 99% of people won't do it, and even if they came across it, they always run away from it. So, yeah, they don't want that.
They contribute to your 5-rep sets. They're just not as fatigued as easily, but they still contribute to the force production. But yeah, what's being noted is
contribute to the force production. It's androgen receptor strength, bro.
That seems to be the real factor. Now, some people will say, well, how come some people are just stronger pound for pound? And that's a good question. And I think
because some people are born with more muscle fibers than others. You have different body types. You have ectomorphs, mesomorphs, and endomorphs. And an endomorph will always be stronger than an ectomorph, regardless. They have more muscle fibers. Their natural strength will always outmatch an ectomorph.
I think a lot of that has to do with levers, and that's also what's being found. The length of your arms and legs, your moment arms. Obviously, the distance you move a weight. Okay? Leverages, distance moved, and all that stuff. That might matter for how much you're doing on a specific lift. But what is the strength
No, it doesn't matter.
component? The strength component is what the muscle is producing. Right?
The strength component is the motor units that are proliferating through the muscle fibers and these androgen receptors. Your body gives you more, it adapts by giving you more androgen receptors, somewhere for the androgens to bind, and they widen, giving you that force production, just like a woman lifting a car off a child. She gets an influx of a very powerful hormone called adrenaline. It binds with the androgen receptors really quick and gives her maximum force, this force production. She can lift a 6,000 pound car. Now, is she stronger? Is she stronger than you? Is she strong because she lifted a 6,000 pound car? No, it was temporary. You understand me? It's temporary strength. It's an adaptation. It's for emergency purposes only. Get it? Now, this would be considered almost the same thing. You are causing your body to give you an adaptation by forcing it, by overloading it with weight, gravitational loading.
Now, how long of a lever it has to work all that through can vary a little bit. How far you're moving 500 pounds requires. In other words, it does take more strength to move 500 pounds.
Yeah, it would take more strength to move 500 pounds. Yeah, and what I don't get it.
30 inches instead of 15 inches, right? I
Okay, work has been done, yes.
think we all understand this. It's actually a little harder, a little more work being done. Not saying it's
Yeah, it's going to be hard. So what do? You try to get your body to compensate by giving you more androgen receptors for that force production.
double though, because you got to get that weight moving.
You could say that testosterone is a less powerful hormone than adrenaline. Adrenaline is more of an emergency hormone, you know? Something is falling down a rock off a hill or something, and you stand there and you're like holding this thing or whatever. So it doesn't destroy your whole family.
But when you start accounting for these things,
In other words,
it really
none of you people are passing newbie gains. You got a small newbie gain, you know, when you went to the gym. You got some of these, I don't know, you got some of these muscle cells, and then they get bigger, they hypertrophy, whatever. You keep coming in like a lifting slave. And so these adaptations in androgen receptors are what you're getting for that force production, because that's what you're practicing. That's about it, man. So a guy, even if he was standing out there in a cliff and a big boulder fell down and he's holding this boulder because he got an influx of adrenaline, it's meaningless. The size of the muscle fiber still got pretty much, the size is not much difference than somebody getting a newbie gain in him. There's not much difference there. A newbie gain and a regular guy walking down the street. Now, if you keep eating glycogen and you blow up, you're still no difference, man. It's a phony muscle, bro.
is the muscle fiber size that determines force output. Okay, and it's
Yeah, the muscle size does determine the force output according to motor unit. Yeah, they proliferate. You have to have real muscles, of course, for the output.
the same thing with some of those.
But that thing can only get so big. Listen, the size of your muscle has reached an MND size limit. The amount of fibers that you have and that size has an MND size limit. That size, the regular people walking in the street, that is the size. So you come in as a newbie, you work out, you get an influx of these muscle cells to the satellite cell. It donates it, nuclei. And so those nuclei, those donations, those cells, they get bigger. Yeah, they call that hypertrophy. But then it reaches an MND size limit. You understand me? Where the progenitor is beyond where it could donate any extra nuclei to support further muscle growth. But this guy doesn't understand that. He's like, no, if it takes me 1,000,000 years, I will try to bypass. I'm on Newbie Games, guys, but I'm going to try to bypass it. I'm going to force it. I'll just keep hitting it forever in this gym in perpetual hell, lifting hell.
Lifters, pound per pound, well, a lot of them are very lean, a lot of them don't have maybe a lot of
Find your possible.
There's a lot of sarcoplasmic.
The other thing, they may be largely faster throughput. Okay, and it's the same thing with some of those lifters, pound per pound. Well, a lot of them are very lean, a lot of them don't have maybe a lot of sarcoplasmic growth. The other thing, they may be largely faster twitch dominant growth. In other words, those muscle fibers grow faster. But
Those muscle fibers grow faster? They don't grow. You need more muscle fibers and then they grow. They don't grow. That's why this guy doesn't believe in hyperplasia. But whatever, okay. They don't just keep growing. Look, a fiber doesn't just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger forever.
But really, when you start looking at some of these people, a lot of them are carrying just very dense, hard muscle, and they're fairly lean. Some of these
Dense, hard muscle, lean, whatever. It's probably because they're born with it.
really, really, truly strong pound per pound people.
I think you're confusing. I think he's confusing bigger people that are carrying sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, a bunch of dead weight, and these androgen receptor strength. The body compensates by giving you androgen receptors to control the strength.
And they have good leverages. Their muscle insertions allow for a little better leverages, so on.
He's making this shit up.
But what we're looking at, there is that. There's always that coordination in.
Whatever.
The strength that muscle produces when it is just tested by itself, it seems to be almost entirely, and there are some experts who are saying, looking at the data, it's 100%, like not even almost, it is entirely.
Okay.
That level, what we call muscle fiber growth.
Muscle fiber growth. Muscle fiber growth. I like this one. Muscle fiber growth. You say muscle fiber growth, yeah? Let's see. Muscle fiber growth. Muscle fiber hypertrophy, right? That would be growth, right? In response to 6 weeks of high volume resistance training and trained. They didn't say untrained. They said trained young men is largely attributed to what? Saropplasmic hypertrophy. What is saropplasmic hypertrophy? What is it? It refers to the increase in volume of this fluid. It can make muscles appear larger, but it does not increase strength. Oh, how about that, eh? Man, that kind of sucks, doesn't it? Oh, it's a type of artificial muscle growth. You train the muscle for no other reason than to visually increase its size by increasing the amount of fluid it could hold. But it does not increase the density of the muscle fibers. Doesn't increase the density. See, you need to increase the density, and then that density, it gets bigger. But that domain ended.
At least at that level, what we call muscle fiber growth.
Yeah, that was the muscle fiber growth. Get it? That was the muscle fiber growth. Saropplasmic.
Almost, that's all of your strength, because you can't change the other things. Now, can you get a little more coordination to be better at a certain movement? If it involves multiple joints, multiple muscles, yes.
Yes.
Like with what we have
He's making a lot of shit up.
available. Now, as we get better
We gotta start calling him Professor JasonBlaha.
tools to measure it, this old hypothesis that seemed to be debunked for a while,
Yeah.
though it's also been noted by certain researchers and experts, is that the people who have a higher ratio of myofibrillar, that's the contractile parts, they also seem to be harder. When they diet down lean enough, there's a higher density. It's part of that.
That's a lie. People on steroids, when they diet down, they're still carrying sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. It retains it in there. The cutting drugs make you dry, but you retain a lot of this sarcoplasmic stuff. That's why natural people can't do it. They get it, and then they lean down, they lose all of it, and then they look so skinny because they've gone down to their newbie gains. They have no muscle gains, zero. It's garbage.
Muscle maturity look. It's more cytoplasmic.
Oh, I love this one.
They don't have the same dense hard look. So it's an interesting thing. So really what this means is that if we want to be as strong as possible, right, we should probably gain as much muscle as possible. On the other end, if you're...
I agree with that. If you want to get strong, you need to gain as much muscle as possible. The problem is, muscle has reached an MND size limit, Bodowski. Your muscle had reached an MND size limit. Right there, MND size limit. Reached the ceiling limit, broski. Can't donate anymore. Support further muscle growth. It's dead in the water. So I would say good luck with that. Okay?
On the other end, if your goal is to get big and have quality muscle, you should really get strong. Your ability to produce force.
Yes, you should get strong. If you really want quality muscles, see, he says if you want quality muscles, you should get strong. Myocytic androgen receptor controls the strength, but not the limb of not the mass of the limb muscles. So he's telling you if you want quality muscles, you should get strong. Unfortunately, that strength doesn't control the mass of the limb muscles.
Your ability to produce force.
It doesn't control the mass of the limb muscles. So I don't know what he's talking about. A strong guy ain't not gonna get you a big guy.
Okay. Again, this is what
The data shows what it shows. I don't know what he's talking about. He's making shit up.
This isn't running experiments to compare variables. This is literally just going in and measuring existing human beings. All right, guys.
He made that shit up, man. I'll see you in the next one. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Yeah, he's full of shit this time.